Hi dear students, today in this video we will be discussing the topic introducing the art of screenwriting. Now this is prescribed as part of your AEC English course for the paper Literature, Language and Performing Arts for semester 2. So now over to the lecture on introducing the art of screenwriting. Now, not only from the exam point of view, but whether you are a budding writer, a film enthusiast, or just curious about how stories come alive on screen, this session is for you. So, what exactly is screenwriting? Well, it is a specialized form of writing meant for films, TV, and digital media. Screenwriting is more than just dialogue. It is about creating stories that we see in moving pictures. And it is the backbone of every visual story. It is something that blends the story, the characters, the dialogue, everything. So it is a blend of creativity and technical knowledge. Okay? So screenwriting is basically a specialized form of writing which is meant for films, TV, for example, advertisements, okay, other visual narratives like short films or other visual programs. Screenwriting is also known as screenplay. Okay, now let's see how does the screenwriting process unfold. First, it starts through idea generation. See, an idea that pops up in someone's head finally results up as a discovery, as an invention, as a film, or as an art. Fine. So any of these initially exists in the form of an idea. So here also, in screenwriting also, idea generation comes first. This is the spark. Somebody thinks, what if I write a story like this? What if something like this is created? That what if moment, that starts it all. That idea that pops up in someone's head, that starts the screenwriting process. So then what do? When an idea sparks in your head, you slowly starts nourishing it. You slowly finds and develops that story idea that is there in your head, right? So that is the first step. The idea generation comes first. Next is structuring the plot. So once you have an idea as a storyline, you need to develop it, right? You need to put it into a well-made plot. It should have characters, it should have dialogue, it should have situations, it should have a conflict, or it should have an organized, it should be an organized whole. It should have a beginning, middle and end. So think of it like a map. Fine. You mark the points. This is how the story begins, this is how it develops, the conflict rises, and how we reach the climax, what happens at the end of the story. So all this, you structure it, you organize it. That comes next in screenwriting. Third, drafting the screenplay. You need to write down the first draft. Okay, the first draft is never the final draft. There will be so many additions, so many changes, so many deletions happening in that. But however, you have to put it into a format, right? A draft. So by writing this draft, the first draft, it is an attempt to tell that story to yourself. You are telling the story to yourself. You're convincing. You are telling the story to yourself, and in that process, we understand what are the limitations, what are the things that I have to add on, what are the things that I have to remove from the story, what are the things that I have to include to make it more interesting, to make it more intense, like that. Okay, so that is the writing the first draft is the first attempt at telling your story. Now the fourth step is revising and editing. So in that stage, what do? You improve and refine on that script, on that first draft that you have created. You make the changes. Fine, that happens in the fourth process. And finally, the last stage is marketing and selling. So once your script is ready, your story is ready, you cannot keep it inside the cupboard and be satisfied, right? You need to show your creativity. You need to show your artistry to the world. So for that, you need to market, you need to sell, you need to go and meet producers, you need to tell them that this is my art and this is how it is. They need to be convinced, they have to be interested. So for that, a lot of marketing is involved. You need to contact different people, interact with them, find opportunities. So all that comes at the last stage. So this is the overall process of screenwriting. Screenwriting doesn't mean simply sitting and writing a story. So all these things, right from the idea generation to the selling part, the marketing and selling part is involved in the screenwriting process. Next, let's see what is the key to screenwriting. What is the most important thing when it comes to screenwriting? It is thinking visually. What does that mean? That means there's a golden rule for screenwriting. That is, the golden rule is screenwriting means seeing. You have to see. Okay? You have to visualize. You have to visualize how it looks on screen. Now, for visualizing, what does these screenwriters do? How do they train themselves to visualize things, to visualize their story? They observe the world around them. So that is very important. See, nowadays we see people, I'm using the very general term people because I cannot confine it to a specific age group, but people belonging to all age groups are confined into the mobile phones, right? Wherever we go to a railway station, we look at, we travel through metros, we travel through buses, we walk, or we just go and sit in a park or a beach. Most of the time we see that people are just scrolling through their screens, right? They're not looking around, they're not bothered about the outside reality. They are just immersed into the content in their phones, of course, right? So you and me, we all do that. So for a screenwriter, we should look around, we should see, we should observe how people are walking, their mannerisms, the different types of people, the different mannerisms, the different idiosyncrasies that people express. Fine. The rain, the climate, the heat, the sand, the waters, the sea, the colors of the sky. You have to observe the trees, the leaves. So everything. For example, sometimes you can see a shot zooming into the tree or a leaf or a flower. So you need to have an idea about what are the things around you. That will grow that creativity, that will develop that creativity within your mind. Okay, so you need to observe the world around you. Then another thing that you need to do is, if you are interested in screenwriting, you have to read books. Books have a very great quality. What is that? When you read, you visualize. Okay, see, when you watch a film, for example, Harry Potter, I know many people who have read Harry Potter. They say that the film version is not up to the mark compared to the book version. So when you read, it is up to the reader to visualize how Harry Potter looks like, what is the setting, how is that castle, how is that school, everything. It depends on the reader. When I read Harry Potter, the way I visualize Harry Potter, the characters, the setting, everything is exclusively depending on my imagination. When you read it, it depends on your imagination. So it leads to a variety of visualizations, right? Each of our imaginations are different. So reading books, newspapers, scripts, all this will add on to that creativity within you. You need to be familiar with more styles, more content, more events, more situations, what is happening around us, everything. Then third thing that screenwriters do to develop their vision is they listen to music or conversations. Listening. So the thing is that all your faculty, be it listening, be it reading, be it seeing, be it writing, whatever, all your faculty should be very keen. It should be open. It should look around, observe, and find. Okay, so that is what the screenwriters do to develop their vision. They observe, they read, they listen, etc. So you can just simply try it. You can find a public space, you can observe for 10 minutes, write down each and every single thing that you noticed. You keep a short notebook with you, and you just jot down. If you're sitting in a bus, just look around and note down every single detail that you see around you. It can be the skies, it can be the birds, it can be the trees, it can be the leaves, it can be the flowers, it can be the people around you, it can be the other buses, it can be the crowd in that bus station, it can be the dress of people, it can be anything. Fine, just observe, just look around, and try to know the world in reality. Okay, so that is the key to screenwriting. Now, the next point is how to develop the writer's mind. The writer's mind is like a storage facility, it's like a reservoir, it's like a treasure chest full of images, conversations, characters, emotions, moods, etc. A writer need to have all this in his mind, right? He need to have lots and lots of ideas, of images, of people speaking, people conversing with each other, different types of people, uh, different mannerisms of people, the different emotions, the human emotions that we express, the different moods that we express. So all this a writer need to have in his mind. So you can build stories from details. You can, from an image, you can create a story. From a postcard, from a photograph, you can create a story. From a conversation line, you can create a story. From seeing a single person, you can create a story, right? Based on an emotion, you can create a story. So that is how then you build it with details. You add the settings, the atmosphere, where is the story taking place, in which country, what sort of people, what sort of family, what sort of person, which gender. So all this comes, right? So it develops the story slowly. So see, for example, you see a horse, dusty boots, then the wind, dust, etc. Suddenly the image of a cowboy film might pop in your mind. Fine. So from these images, you can develop a story. You can also try it. You can pick a random image from anywhere. Social media is full of images, right? You can even take an image from Pinterest and just try to create a story out of that single image. That is how, by letting loose your imagination, by letting your imagination to run wild, that's how the screenwriting process happens. Now, approaching screenwriting as a craft, some people just love it. It's not just an art, but it's a skill. So, you need practice, you need patience, and yes, some people have very strange habits. For example, Mark Twain. Mark Twain is an American writer, famous American writer. And Truman Capote is also an American novelist. So both of them had a strange habit of writing while lying down. They lie down and then write. That was how they wrote their screenplays. Then there was another very famous American writer, Ernest Hemingway, who was also a soldier. So his habit was he sharpened dozens of pencils before writing. Maybe he doesn't want to take a break in between. He wanted to write continuously. Maybe it's for that. He used to sharpen dozens of pencils. Pencils are good because you can erase when there needs to be some additions. So he used to sharpen dozens of pencils before writing. Then there was an English poet named John Donne. And his habit seems very strange. He wrote while lying in an open coffin. What is a coffin? Coffin is a long wooden box in which a dead body is buried, right? So John Donne had the habit of writing while lying down in a coffin. So that's strange, right? So that's how some of those very famous writers, they wrote their screenplays. They did their writing. Okay, they wrote their stories. So anyway, you need to have a balance between imagination and you need to have a lot of preparation. You need to be very patient. Fine. A story will not pop up within a day. It might take maybe days, weeks, months, sometimes even years. Okay. So that is how you approach screenwriting as a craft. Now, how will you find your screenplay's story? Story writing or storytelling is like planning a road trip. You need a map. So you need to ask so many questions to yourself. How does the story start? How does the story begin? How shall I introduce the character, the protagonist? Who is the protagonist? What is the central conflict in this story? How am I going to plan the climax? So just like a road trip, there can be many unexpected events happening when you write the story. There might be additions, deletions, etc. happening, but that's part of the process. So you need to get answers to all these questions. And they say that screenwriters build stories in different styles. Some screenwriters are like archaeologists. Who's an archaeologist? A person who studies human history through excavations of sites. He analyzes artifacts, fossils, etc. Okay. So they say some screenwriters are like archaeologists. They dig up hidden stories, something that nobody has ever seen or heard. Okay, that's what they do. Now, some screenwriters are like detectives. This is their style, how they build up a story. They are like detectives. There might be some real events, and they will be investigating on those events and bring to light something that was unspoken. Okay, some are like gardeners. They plant new story ideas and watch them develop, watch them grow. Okay, some are like scavengers. They collect ideas from everywhere. Scavengers are people who collect trash. So they collect ideas from everywhere. Sometimes if they are traveling, they get the story from people and things that they see on the go. Okay, so these are several approaches, several ways, several styles how a screenwriter develops his story. So till this we were talking about the content part. Now we are moving on to the technical part. That means the form, the structure part, which shows how should you format your screenplay. So this is where the technical side comes in. Yes, formatting matters. Formatting matters a lot. You cannot just pick up a notebook and write randomly whatever comes to your mind and take that notebook and give it to a producer and ask him to read it. That's not the way you have to present your script. It should be well documented. It should be properly written. Maybe it should be typed. That's the best way, because all handwritings are not legible. So the professional way to hand over your script is to give it in typed format. So that lends an impression about your work. That itself lends an impression about your work. See, for example, in Hollywood, they follow very strict screenplay formatting. For example, they have to type the screenplay in Courier font. You have different fonts in Microsoft Word, like Times New Roman, Calibria, many font types. So here they have taken as a standard font Courier font. That too, the font size should be 12 points. Then the scene headings, action, dialogue, everything should be properly marked or given as subheadings. Then the proper margin and spacing of the document is also important. All four sides of the page should be well indented. The margins should be clear. Okay, so all this matters when it comes to screenwriting, the formatting part of your screenwriting. Next, constructing your first draft. Now we have gone through the content side and the formatting side. Okay, now let's put the pieces together. So Just imagine that you are going to construct your first draft. What are the things that you need? You need the characters. There should be strong characters in your story. There should be defined goals and conflicts in your story. Fine. See, for example, in many films there will be vice versus virtue vice conflict will be there. The protagonist will stand for virtue, and there will be an anti-hero or an antagonist who stands for vice. There will be a conflict, and finally the conflict resolves and virtue wins. That seems to be the thread of many stories. Or there will be a love romance. Sometimes the love wins in the end. The story ends with the joining of the two lovers, or sometimes it ends up in a tragedy. Okay, so you need to have these conflicts, these goals. What is their story about? Everything that should be mentioned in your first draft itself. You should be very clear about that. And then you need to have a clear structure. What is the introduction? How is my story going to begin? How is it going to develop? How is it going to end? The climax, everything. You need to have a very clear structure. Then write a script like solving a puzzle. It should be like a metaphor, beautifully, poetically constructed. Fine. So each of the characters, each of the events, each of the situations that you put in your story, that should give more detail, or that should very beautifully merge with the storyline. Fine. So in that way, as each characters are introduced or each situations are introduced, it's like it should move slowly, like we solve a puzzle. We should go deep into that story. We should understand the layers of meaning into that story. So all this needs a lot of hard work, a lot of patience, a lot of thinking, a lot of creativity, a lot of knowledge. Fine, it's not a simple thing, writing a story and people liking it. Even if you just create a humor scene, it should entertain people. People should understand the comedy in it, right? So for that, you need to have intelligence to create humor or the situations, characters. If it is a thriller film, you need to be aware of many things. For example, if it is a science fiction film, it is a film about space. You need to have a very clear knowledge of what you are going to depict in that. You cannot just put some stupid things in that and tell that this is a science fiction story. You need to research on many things. Fine. So that is like you're giving more information. It's like solving a puzzle. You're giving more information to the spectators about a topic. Fine. Okay. And then all these scenes, all the pieces must fit together smoothly. So that is very important. So that is how you construct your first draft. So after writing your first draft, what's the next step? You need to rewrite your first draft, right? You need to rewrite your script. And so the key thing, the key act that happens there is writing means rewriting. Fine. Even very famous writers have written their first drafts multiple times, or their subsequent drafts multiple times. For example, Hemingway that I mentioned earlier, his famous novel is A Farewell to Arms, and he has written the last page, just the last page, the climax of his novel 39 times. Just imagine, just the climax. What about the previous pages that we don't know? Fine. And then Plato, another very ancient Greek writer, philosopher, he has written his work called The Republic. He has revised it 50 times. So this happens whenever you write a screenwriting. You have to rewrite whatever you have written in your first draft. Maybe the finished product will be entirely different from your first draft. This is applicable even when we write a research project or a thesis, PhD thesis. Your first draft will never be your final draft. It will be something else. Okay. Yes. So then you need to revise ruthlessly. You have to trim unnecessary dialogue. You have to strengthen the character arcs. You have to improve the pacing and the flow. Do whatever you can to make your work a wonderful one. We can also adapt stories into screenplays. See, many great films, many iconic films that we have appreciated very much, they were either books, plays, or maybe real life stories. For example, Memento. It was an American psychological thriller film released in 2000, but that was actually uh, a short story. Okay, the screenplay, the script writers, they adapted this short story into a film, and that's how it happened. Another film was Chicago. It was released in 2002, and this film won 6 Academy Awards in 2003, 6 Oscars, 6 awards for the Oscars in 2003. Now that was actually a musical. Musical means a film or a work with lots of songs. So that musical film was later adapted into a crime thriller film. Okay. Then there is another famous film, A Beautiful Mind, that is actually adapted from a biography about a mathematician named John Nash. He was a Nobel laureate. He attained Nobel for economics, I think. So, based on his biography, that film is created. So that's how you adapt stories into films or into screenplays. Okay, you can take uh, clues from anything. So when you try to adapt from an original work, you need to keep in mind that you have to stay true to the original. So that is a challenge. You cannot change it as per your wish. If you are adapting from a work, the plot should be same. You can, of course, you can change the dialogues or anything, but you cannot change the plot situations. Fine. And then you can make necessary changes for visual appeal. Fine. For entertaining people, for evoking the interest of people, you can add something, some elements, some dramatic things, but don't deviate too much from the plot, from the original. And finally, so you have created the content, you have formatted it, you have written the first draft, you have edited everything, you have the final screenplay in your hand, that finished screenplay in your hand. So here we should understand that cinema isn't just an art, it's business too, right? You need to sell your script now. So for that, first you need to have confidence about yourself as well as your script. Fine. Then you need to have contacts, networking. You need to have lots of contacts. You need to meet people. Fine. You need to understand the current trends. What sort of films people like nowadays? What is the current trend? Fine. Is it for thrillers? Is it for detective films? Is it for violence? Is it for romance? Is it for tragedies? Is it for humor? Like that. You need to understand the market trend. Fine. And then there are also other routes to success. You need to get an agent. There will be people who know many other producers who are in the business. So you need to familiarize such agents, such people, so they will bring you to more people involved in the business. Okay. And then you can try screenplay contests. That will build up the confidence in you. You can write a short script, maybe for a short film, and present it for some competitions, some film festivals, or maybe, and you can see how your work is rated by the public. And then you need to pitch to producers. Fine. Like I said, you need to have the confidence to speak to them, to present your story well. That is also very important. Some screenwriters, they write a wonderful story, but they don't know how to narrate that story to the producer in a way that it is very enticing, interesting. So that is also important. How you present yourself and your story to the producers. That is, they should feel like, okay, this is a go-getter. This is important. I mean, this is very good. It will turn out to be a hit. People will love the story. They should feel it, right? So you need to have that interpersonal skills as well. So this is all that screenwriting is all about. Fine. So finally, to summarize, we can understand that screenwriting, it's both an art and a craft. It's an artistic talent it is an art. It is a creation. It is an artistic creation. But at the same time, you need to have that craftsmanship. You need to have a skill for screenwriting. You need to develop your skill. Nobody is born as a screenwriter, right? You need to develop that skill. If you're really interested in screenwriting, you need to develop. You need to hone your skills. Fine. So it's both an art and a craft. Then screenwriters should think visually. As I said, they should observe everything that they see around them, and they should also, whatever they write, they also should be able to visualize it. Fine. And then writing requires both imagination and discipline. So you need to have a wild imagination. You need to create the characters. How do they look like? How do they behave? What are their mannerisms? How do they dress? Everything, every minute test details should be there in your screenplay. And for that, you need to have a lot of patience. This is not a very simple task, but it's definitely a very difficult task which requires a lot of patience, talent, etc. So, and then the best scripts undergo multiple revisions. So the first draft is never ever your final draft. It is just a first draft. It can be entirely different when it comes to your final draft. Okay, so you can go through multiple revisions to make your story very interesting. And finally, success. Success means not only great writing, but also smart marketing. You have a wonderful story in your hand, but you are very poor at marketing, presenting it to the public or presenting it to the producers, marketing, selling your product. If you are bad at that, your story will remain in the cupboard for long. Okay, so along with great writing, you also need to have smart marketing skills. So these are the key points that you need to understand about this whole essay. Introduction to introducing the art of screenwriting. So that's all. Thank you. And finally, as food for thought, you can just think for yourself, what are your favorite films and why is it your favorite film? What made it your favorite film? Is it the characters? Is it the way the camera is handled? Is it the setting? Is it the narration? Anything. What is it that interested you? Okay, so you can think about your personal experiences with screenplay. How is it so interesting? What attracted you in that film the most? All these things. Okay, so if you have any questions regarding, please feel free to post. Thank you.